Crime is sexy.
10 bodybuilders who took it too far. Like and subscribe and buckle up for another wild ride. When it comes to the appearance of our bodies, we're never happy with how they turn out, regardless of whether you're interested in seeming larger or smaller. Here's a list of the top 10 bodybuilders who have gone too far with their insatiability. Number 10, Trevor Smith. Trevor Smith was a well-known figure in the bodybuilding world, but he wasn't interested in competing professionally. Instead, he focused on writing articles, coaching, and running his own business, Nuclear Nutrition. He even developed a workshop routine called Beauty Failure Training. Despite his fame, Trevor was known for his massive size. Standing at 6 foot 1 inch tall and weighing over 400 pounds, his excessive training and use of steroids resulted in an unhealthy amount of weight. This took a toll on his internal organs and put pressure on his heart, leading to his untimely death in 2004 due to a heart attack. Number 9. ANDREAS was a bodybuilder who sought to achieve the ultimate level of muscular definition and impress his peers. To accomplish this goal, he not only relied on steroids but also used diuretics to flush out water from his body and dehydrate it. This resulted in a smaller skin and surface tissue, making him appear larger than he actually was. MUNZER's intense training method and constant use of toxic supplements and an unhealthy diet led to the failure of multiple organs. He was eventually admitted to the hospital with severe stomach discomfort and unfortunately could not be saved. The most heart-wrenching aspect of his condition was the enlargement of his heart, which was twice the size it should have been. The obsession with obtaining the perfect physique can drive people to take extreme measures, like MUNZER did. While some may see temporary success in terms of winning tournaments, the long-term consequences of such actions can be devastating. MUNZER's death serves as a warning to those who seek to achieve muscular definition through dangerous means. Number 8, Sally McNeil. Sally McNeil was never considered to be a top bodybuilder. Her only claim to fame was her victory in some armed services physique championships during her time serving in the Marine Corps. However, despite her use of steroids, she was not awarded any medals. Unfortunately, the use of steroids did not spare her from the adverse side effects that usually accompany such drugs. In her case, the side effects were so severe that she ended up committing a horrific crime, killing her husband, a fellow bodybuilder, on Valentine's Day. During the trial, Sally's attorney tried to defend her by claiming that she was a victim of domestic violence and that she'd murdered her husband in self-defense. They pointed out instances where she had attacked innocent people, a police officer, and a helpless spectator. The results of the drug test showed that she had steroids in her system, and she was eventually sentenced to 19 years in prison for second-degree murder. However, the defense for Sally's late husband had a much stronger argument. They presented evidence to the judge of Sally's history of aggression and violent outbursts even during her previous marriage. Despite all the attempts to combine exercise with medication, the consequences can sometimes be disastrous, as was the case with Sally. Number 7, the Chad brothers. The Chad brothers were two young men who lived in Colony, New York. One day, they were using an elliptical machine at a local gym when they both fell off. The gym was owned by Gold's Gym, and it was known for its high-quality equipment and friendly staff. The Chad brothers were not pleased with their experience, however, and they immediately began to lash out. Their rage caused them to destroy the gym and its equipment. They broke windows, knocked over weight machines, and vandalized the office area. They even attacked other customers who were in the gym at the time. It was a chaotic scene, and the gym staff quickly called the police for help. When the police arrived, they tried to calm the Chad brothers down, but they were too far gone. The police had to use force to subdue them. They shot both of them with tasers in order to immobilize them and take them into custody. One of the Chad brothers was particularly combative, and he fought back as the police tried to cuff him. He grabbed the taser and tried to use it on the officer, but 6 other police officers stepped in to help. They tased him twice more, but he still wouldn't give up. Eventually, they were able to overpower him and put him in handcuffs. The Chad brothers were taken to the hospital for evaluation. It was there that they discovered that one of them had PCP and steroids in his system. These drugs likely contributed to their violent outburst, and the police were shocked by what had happened. The gym was left in shambles, and the other customers who had been there at the time were shaken up by the experience. The Chad brothers faced serious charges for their actions, and they had to answer for the damage they had caused. They received treatment for their drug use, and they were held accountable for the harm they had inflicted. The gym was able to recover and reopen, but the memory of that day lingered in the minds of those who had been there. Number 6, GREGG Valentino. GREGG Valentino was a well-known figure in the bodybuilding world, infamous for holding the record of having the largest arms in the community. Unlike other professional bodybuilders who focused on bulking bulking their entire body, Valentino only concentrated on building his arms. Although he started out naturally building his muscles through exercise, he was never satisfied and wanted more. In pursuit of his goal, Valentino began taking steroids and testosterone, which rapidly increased the size of his arms to a whopping 27 inches. Excited by the quick results, he continued to use the performing-enhancing drugs. Unfortunately, Valentino's eagerness to grow his arms led him to neglect proper injection practices, including not changing his needles. The recklessness caused an abscess to develop in his arms. Instead of seeking professional medical attention, Valentino attempted to treat the wound himself, but to no avail. He eventually went to the hospital where the doctor was forced to perform surgery to clean out the abscess. Despite the procedure, Valentino was left with a large scar on his bicep, serving as a constant reminder of his past mistakes. Number 5. Dean Wharmby. Dean Wharmby was a true specimen of physical strength and muscle mass, weighing in at over 240 pounds of pure muscle. But despite his impressive physique, his decisions ultimately caught up with him in the form of a devastating diagnosis. In 2010, Dean was told he had liver tumors. The news hit him hard, and he soon realized that his years of taking steroids had taken its toll on his body. He went from being a muscle monster to a bed-ridden warrior as his health deteriorated rapidly over the next 5 years. Despite his valiant effort to fight the cancer, Dean eventually lost his battle in 2015. After his death, an investigation was conducted to uncover the cause of his illness. It was revealed that the primary cause was, in fact, the steroids he had been taking. Number 4. Romario dos Santos Alves. Romario dos Santos Alves is a man who has garnered attention for his physique, but he didn't achieve it through traditional means. Rather than dedicating himself to weightlifting and proper nutrition, Alves relied on a dangerous substance called SYNTHOL to artificially enhance his muscles. The consequences of this addiction were dire and had a devastating impact on his health. The toxic oils from the SYNTHOL injections began to put Alves's kidney at risk and cause him immense pain. Despite all the warning signs, he continued to inject himself until regular needles were no longer able to penetrate his muscles. In a desperate attempt to continue his obsession, Alves even resorted to purchasing veterinary needles meant for animals. The muscle mass continued to grow until the pain became unbearable and his arms were at risk of amputation. It wasn't until Alves reached a critical point that he finally had a change of heart about his addiction. The doctor's warnings and the potential loss of his arms were enough to make him see the error of his ways and seek help. This man's story is a cautionary tale about the dangers of obsession and the importance of taking care of our bodies. Number 3. RUBEN ARZU. In Colton, California, a shocking event occurred when the police arrested a 300-pound bodybuilder named RUBEN ARZU. Reports indicate that he was under the influence of steroids and other drugs when the officers found him sitting naked on a couple's porch. The couple, who was scared for their safety, called the police for help. When the police arrived at the scene, they were faced with a challenging situation. RUBEN ARZU was in a state of rage, and it took the intervention of 4 officers with stun guns and 4 sets of handcuffs to restrain him. The officers were badly injured in the process, and it remains unclear whether it was just alcohol that he had taken that night or if he had also taken aloe vera. The couple who had called the police were also badly injured in the incident. The man received severe head trauma from the beating, and the woman was thrown around by RUBEN ARZU, suffering facial injuries. The extent of their injuries is unknown, but it is clear that they went through a traumatic experience. The arrest of RUBEN ARZU was a difficult and dangerous situation for the police officers involved. The man's reaction was incredibly violent, and it's uncertain why he was acting in such a manner. However, the officers managed to arrest him and charge him with attempted homicide. Number 2. MUSTAFA ISMAIL. MUSTAFA ISMAIL was a bodybuilder from Egypt who was inspired by the training techniques of GREGG Valentino. He was fixated on breaking a world record for the largest arms and was ultimately successful in his pursuit. However, after further investigation, it was discovered that he had used artificial means to achieve his massive size. As a result, his record was removed from the Guinness Book of World Records. There were rumors that Mustafa was a fan of synthetic oils that artificially enhanced his biceps. Despite his denial of these claims, it was hard for many to believe him. His biceps were almost 31 inches in size, making them the largest at the time. Despite his denials, people still believed the rumors. Number 1. GREGG KOVACS. GREGG KOVACS hailed from Niagara Falls in Canada. He was a professional bodybuilder who boasted some truly impressive proportions. Standing at over 6 feet, GREGG weighed an impressive 330 pounds during competition season and an even more imposing 400 pounds during the off-season. His arms were a massive 25 inches inches in circumference, his chest measured a jaw-dropping 70 inches, and his legs were a mammoth 35 inches. It was rumored that he once developed arms that were 27 inches in circumference during the prime of his career. In June 1997, Gregg made a splash in the world of bodybuilding when he graced the cover of Flex magazine. Like many bodybuilders of his time, Gregg relied heavily on hormones, steroids, and other performance-enhancing drugs to help him reach his impressive size and strength. This, combined with his natural talent, made him a dominant force in competitions and easily overpowered his competitors, who appeared to be mere children in comparison. However, this lifestyle took its toll on Gregg's health. The high doses of drugs and the extra weight put a strain on his heart and other internal organs. Sadly, in 2013, at the age of 44, Gregg passed away from a heart attack. Subscribe for more cool videos.